and there's chaos across the UK today for rail passengers. Members of the ASLEV union are on strike, affecting multiple networks. The industrial action is part of a series of strikes across the country between the 4th and 9th of April, excluding the 7th. And Storm Kathleen isn't making things easier for travellers in Scotland. Network Rail Scotland said that due to high wind speeds, trains will slow down between noon and 7 p.m. Let's get an update with the travel journalist and host of the Big Travel podcast, Lisa Francesca Nand. Lisa, hello again.
Hello from a stormy Brighton.
A stormy
It wasn't
Brighton.
meant to be stormy here. It was meant to be beautiful and sunny and about 17 degrees, but the weather forecast is wrong. And I'm sitting on the beach with a jacket over my head. This is my outdoor studio. I thought you'd be impressed.
Okay, well, you're not battling down the hatches. You're braving it. You're toughing it out. Well, what else should we be looking out for, do you think?
Well, the Storm Kathleen, like you said, is raising some chaos, not here in the south, although it is windy, but Scotland and Northern Ireland have seen train cancellations and go slow due to the storm. And also the West Coast is due to get battered a little bit more, apparently later. So we have had some flights being cancelled from some airports. So I think the general advice is if you are going somewhere by public transport and indeed by the roads as well, check before you travel.
I was thinking about alternatives if you are trying to get out to the West Country or up to West Yorkshire or Edinburgh. If you don't want to drive, you're going to have to get a coach because what is it? 25% of services running?
Absolutely, 25% of services running, they estimate at the moment. So, yeah, I mean, I've been in this situation before, and then you try and get a coach, and the coaches are all booked because everyone's thinking the same thing, unfortunately. So you're either driving or trying to battle it out on trains with storm issues and cancellations, and of course the strikes that we were talking about.
Yeah, let's try and work out what's going on here. I mean, the RMT settled their dispute with the rail delivery group, and that took 18 months of hard grind and strikes and upsetting the public. What did they get? 5% backdated and job security guarantees. Why is the ASLEV dispute proving so hard to resolve?
It's been going on since 2022, I think. We've been having these regular strikes, and it's all about pay and conditions. It's always about pay and conditions, with drivers in particular saying that they're not getting enough money, that they're not happy with the hours they're working, with the conditions and safety, and basically it just seems to be that they're in loggerheads at the moment, which is incredibly, I'd say, annoying for those of us who want to travel by train, and also at a time when we're trying to get people out of their cars. It seems more and more than ever since the pandemic, and of course with all these strikes, that the train situation just seems worse and worse these days, especially at a time we're trying to get people out of their cars. And actually the Independent newspaper did a survey not so long ago of about 2,500 people, and it said that a significant number of rail passengers would actually never travel regularly by train again. It's exactly the opposite of what we want to be doing. And I get it. I get why people strike. I'm fully supportive of people's right to a fair pay and fair hours and everything like that. But it's very frustrating and annoying, not just for those of us who want to travel, but also billions of pounds are being lost through hospitality businesses, with people not turning up to pubs and restaurants. And, here on the coast in Brighton, I absolutely see a drop in visitor numbers every time there's a strike. So, yeah, very, very difficult.
Well, one reason for that is that you don't want to go to Brighton in a car because you can't park.
Well, exactly. And I don't think anyone wants you to come to Brighton in a car. I certainly think we need to have a great public transport network. And, if you look at other countries across Europe, they do so much better than us. And the prices in terms of trains, Germany last summer introduced a €15 ticket that would get you across the country. That's now gone up to about €30, but that gets you across the country for the whole month. Spain in certain areas are doing very similar things with, pay €10 for the month and use the local network. And I really think we should be doing that. A little bit like when the museums made things free,
Yeah.
it made more people go. It actually increased their footfall and also their earnings because people were going there. Events were being organised. They're spending money in the cafes. I really think we should be looking at doing something like that. And also maybe that would help the pay and conditions with the people, a win-win situation.
Well, you'd hope so. If it was that simple, Lisa, you'd imagine that the policy wonks, the civil servants and the ministers would be pushing this. But how long is it since since transport was privatised. It was in 1993, the rail, I think,
Oh,
during
I
John
think
Major's
it,
government.
yeah,
I
it
think
was.
that's right. I mean, look, and if I want to go on an off-peak to Manchester, I've got to travel after 9:26 a.m. from London
Mhm.
Euston, and then come back, I think, after 9 something in the morning, right? But it's going to cost me £109. That's just
Yeah.
sitting in standard coach class.
And also, and yeah, you might not even get a seat. And then it's
Yep.
confusing, isn't it? Even as a travel professional, if you're using Trainline or tickets in advance or tickets at the station, I don't really know what the cheapest way to do it is when I'm traveling. It's really confusing for anyone wanting to travel about all as I know is it's always expensive. Yes, you might book it in advance and get the odd deal and they are available, but generally compared to the rest of Europe, it's expensive and difficult. And we're pushing people off the trains when not literally, but metaphorically pushing people off the trains when really we should be pushing them onto the trains and out of their cars.
Yeah. And there's more of this to come on Monday, isn't there?
Yes, there's more strikes to come. There will be more strikes and cancellations, and not just on the actual days of strikes, but the day after is always affected as well because while trains are getting back to normal and staff are getting back to normal and everything. So I mean, people will be able to go somewhere. I've travelled on the day of a strike and managed, through various backwaters, but it takes a long time. And my advice would be, don't do it basically because it's hard work and difficult and expensive.
All right, Lisa Francesca Nand, enjoy your windy time on the beach in Brighton. That's a pebble beach. It's not sand, is it?
No, it's pebbles. Yeah, I'm sitting here with my coat over my head. I think people think there's something wrong with me, but yeah, I'm doing my best.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you very much indeed for breaking your repose by talking to us right here on
Thank
Times
you.
Radio. And just to remind you, the affected companies are Avanti West Coast. That was Friday. Avanti West Coast, Cross Country, East Midlands, London North Western and West Midlands Rails. That was yesterday. And then Monday is the last day of the rolling strikes. You've got Greater Anglia, Great Northern, Thameslink and Southern Gatwick Express, South Eastern, South Western and SWR Island Line. That's on Monday. Right.
We actually want somebody to come to the table and resolve this issue. The people behind me haven't had a pay rise for 5 years, half a decade. In the cost of living crisis, we're the same as any other worker. Regardless of what you earn, you feel that you have a right to demand a pay rise when you've got an economically incompetent government.
Are there any other factors other than pay rise, working conditions or arrangements like that?
We've had bad faith from the operators and from the government. We don't work for the government, funnily enough. We work for the privateers, Avanti, First Group and all the others that have been in our industry for a period of time. We've done 17 pay deals in the last 12 months without the need to change terms and conditions or anything else. Everything from the freight sector to Scotland to Wales to open access, the Elizabeth line and elsewhere. What we have here is political dogma that wants to rip up our T's and C's to give us a less than RPI pay rise and expect us to accept it. And what we have experienced throughout the whole process is misdirection of that faith.